What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/EntitledParents.
And here we have the return to Karen Pithecus Entitled Day in a story called Karen Pithecus Entitled Day Gets Mad When I Don't Let Her Unvaccinated Crotch Goblin Touch My Son. So, here I am again with another encounter with the species known to man as Karen Pithecus Entitled Day. This happened when my son was just 8 months old. I was at the time still recovering from the C-section during childbirth and barely went out of the house. It was very difficult to move after surgery due to the stitches, and it took me weeks to be able to walk alone. So any excuse to go someplace was a very welcome change in the boring, monotonous life I had raising my son. At this point as well, my son has had some of his vaccines, but some have yet to be administered to him. As such, I am very careful in particular when it comes to who gets to hold my child, and I always make sure that anyone, including myself and my partner, who holds the baby has at least disinfected their hands with sanitizer or alcohol. My mom often reminded me of this, and she also told me to never let anyone kiss my baby, since that simple act can harm a baby that is not fully vaccinated from the transferring of germs. I took her warnings very seriously. She is a licensed nurse and has been practicing her profession for more than 30 years. I'm adopted, so don't get mad because the math looks off with my age and theirs. We were at an upscale mall, meaning that the shops and food establishments inside the mall were on the high-end side of the market. We only go there because, unlike normal malls in our country, they have several breastfeeding rooms that are comfortable and private. Most malls only have one breastfeeding station and can get pretty cramped due to how many breastfeeding mothers are visiting that day. I do own a breast pump and pump regularly, but I find that my son prefers it if he can breastfeed from me rather than drinking his milk from the bottle. We were sitting down at this milk tea place. Boba for those not living in the Philippines. Just enjoying some drinks while my son is fast asleep in his stroller. It was bliss since that meant I could rest and relax. A few moments later, we see her, the Karen Pithecus Entitled Day. She walked into the shop with such arrogance that people knew what she was, a Karen. She was the walking stereotype of a Karen. Long French nails, dyed hair that looked like a Party Central wig, thin pencil eyebrows from the 90s era, obviously fake tan, the whole 9 freaking yards. Me and my partner share a look and shrug. Whatever, lady, you do you. With her was her crotch goblin spawn, the larvae of the Karen Pithecus Entitled Day, aged about 9 to 10. Note that both of them are foreigners. I mean, Karen had a fake tan and all, but her daughter is too young for a tan, so she has her natural skin tone show. Her daughter was a Karen in the making. How do I know? From the minute they walk in, her daughter was being a brat. At another table, there was a woman with her dog in a stroller. The little Karen was cooing over said doggo, but when the owner said that she had to go now, the Karen Pithecus larvae started wailing, shouting that she didn't want the dog to go. She was being so loud that it woke my son up. Great. Thanks, you brat. I rolled my eyes and go to get my cover-up. I use this to cover myself if I ever have to breastfeed in public so other people won't find it uncomfortable seeing a 20-something-year-old woman with one of her boobs out with the baby breastfeeding on said breast. I then take my crying son and proceed to breastfeed him so he can fall back asleep. He seems to do so for a minute, but then just plays with my nipple with his mouth. This was a cue that he isn't going back to sleep, so I tell my partner to take him so I can adjust back my top and put away my cover-up. He disinfects his hand first and then takes our son from me. Meanwhile, the commotion nearby has attracted the attention of others, and the Karen Pithecus Entitled Day doesn't even faze at this. She was looking at her phone with her earphones on, ignoring her screaming child. The woman with the dog was maybe fed up and also ignores the child and proceeds to walk away with her dog still in the stroller. This upsets the hellspawn, and she goes back to her mommy, who only now notices her little angel in distress. Karen then looks around and sees her baby's bully was gone and then points to the table next to us. The kid then comes running toward the table and sits on one of the chairs set up. Against all my instincts, due to prior encounters with entitled fricks, I ignore the daughter and try to finish my drink and snack as soon as possible. A few minutes go by and Karen joins her daughter. It was at this point that the hellspawn notices my son in my partner's arms. He, my son, was now holding his dinosaur plushie. We lovingly refer to it as Mr. Dinosaur, after George's toy from Peppa Pig, which my son enjoys watching to this day. The daughter whispers to her mother and points to my son. The mother nods and up came to us her little brat. Here is the cast. Karen Pithecus entitled A. Crotch Goblin! Me, a mama bear that doesn't have time for BS. My partner and father of my son who is terrified of conflict. Manager. I want to hold the baby. Excuse me? Entitled Kid says this part slowly as if I'm stupid. I wanna hold the baby. She points to my son, still playing with his toy. Yeah, no. Sorry, kid, you can't. Mommy said I can hold him. Now give me him. I want the baby. No, this isn't your mommy's baby, so she can't say who gets to hold my son. It's at this point that Karen walks up to us and speaks. Her voice sounded like a fork being dragged across a board. Why aren't you letting her hold that baby? Because that baby is my son, and I don't want random strangers touching him. My daughter knows how to hold a baby, so it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. Has your daughter had any of her vaccinations? What? Of course not. I'm not poisoning my baby with chemicals. I also won't risk her with that because they cause autism. Well, that settles it then. She can't hold my child. Only Satan knows what sort of diseases she might carry because of the lack of vaccines. Now leave us alone, please. We're going. I tell my partner we are going when I hear my son wail. The crotch goblin is trying to grab my kid from my partner. Me and my partner are short. I'm 5 feet and he is 5'3". My instincts kick in and I grab the kid away from my son by dragging her arm after I free my son's leg from her grip. I should also disclose that I have anger issues and aggressive, violent behavior when I am very upset due to messed up crap that happened during my childhood, that I am currently getting treatment for. I basically drag the kid away and force her to sit on the chair. I was heaving at this point and remember I still have stitches. I grip my wound and just sit down on the ground. Then I feel the mother grab me by my hair and with my adrenaline I punch her gut twice. She lets out a scream and I fall to the ground again. This time my stitches really hurt now. My partner was panicking at this point with me on the ground and our son crying from the commotion, and the manager came over to see me on the ground, with Entitled Kid now going to Entitled Mom who was nursing the area I punched. The manager says to me, "Ma'am, are you okay? What happened here?" "That freaking psycho punched me after I defended my baby. She threw her to the ground." "Her daughter tried to grab our son after we said she can't hold him." "Oh, crap. I think something ruptured." "Excuse me?" "I have stitches from a C-section. I think it ruptured." "Oh my god, I'll call for help immediately." "What? Call help for me, not that psycho. She's probably faking it to get sympathy." "Are you serious right now, you shallow-minded, egotistical, dookie trail of a person? Why the heck would I fake having a C-section? If you only raised that crotch goblin of yours right, it wouldn't happen. I apologize if I was rough with her, but you should never freaking tell your kid that she can do anything she wants. Teach her some freaking manners and sense of boundaries, you bench." "Don't tell me how to raise my daughter. I am a single mom and a better mom than you are." "Not hard to see why your baby daddy left. He dodged a freaking bullet if you ask me." "How dare you!" She goes over to me again. "You saw what happened the last time you put your hands on me. Do you really want to go down that road again? I might be nursing a wound that may or may not have ruptured, but you can bet your fake butt that I will break off that arm if you dare touch me again." Entitled mother backs off and then the manager comes back. He tells me he called an ambulance and mall security is on its way. My partner was beside me and I took a look at my son. He had a hand mark on his leg, probably from the grip of Entitled Kid. "Look what your kid did. What a good mom you are, huh? I'm pressing charges." "No, I'm pressing charges. You assaulted my baby and me." "Your daughter tried to grab my son, and I only touched her to get her away from my baby. You, on the other hand, thought it was a good idea to pull me by my hair when I was on the ground due to pain from my stitches, and so you got punched twice. How do you think that would look like in a court case?" "My kid tried to grab someone else's child and she got dragged away by the mom, so I pulled the mom's hair and she punched me? Send help?" The paramedics arrive and take me to the hospital. At this point, the manager was talking to my partner and Entitled mother. My partner was visibly stressed now and he was crying. He had to drop off our son to his sister and went to the hospital I was at. Thankfully, the wound wasn't ruptured, but I was ordered to be on bed rest for a week and a half. I didn't press charges, as it would have been more of a hassle, and I didn't really get her information either. My son is turning 2 this December, and he still plays with Mr. Dinosaur and loves watching Peppa Pig. Okay, that was an insane story. And in my eyes, the Redditor here acted 100% rationally. Like this kid was trying to steal a baby. And all she did was just pull her away and put her on a chair. Okay, that is 100%, justifiable. And then she gut punched the mother when she tried to grab her hair. Okay, what in the world was this mother thinking? Like, I'm not just talking about in the restaurant. I'm talking about the entirety of her daughter's life. Was she just never disciplined, at all, ever? That is ridiculous. This story's called Kid Assaults Me for My Watch and Entitled Mother Does Nothing. Quick disclaimer that this is pretty long, but definitely not boring. I also do not support fighting and believe it should be used as an absolute last resort and would 1,000 times prefer solving with some quick arguing. So, some quick backstory and disclaimers to this. I've worked at a popular retail store for about a year, and it is usually filled with tourists or people that like spending a lot of money. I am on mobile and using a throwaway account as I have a feeling this buffoon will probably want legal action. I am 17 and graduated this summer, and I don't want that stress. This happened last week, and my friend told me I should share this story here. So here I was, working a holiday weekend, which meant that the store was packed to the brim with people, and you could tell that they were doing some last-minute shopping and were quite stressed. Cue the entrance of the absolute unit of a Karen, entitled Mother, with the typical, "I crashed into your car, but you need to pay" haircut, designer sunglasses, the ugliest feathered hat I've ever seen, and holding a huge drink from a coffee place. Beside her, I'm estimating a 16-year-old son, entitled Kid, who looks like he could put on a few more pounds. Instantly, they see me, employee. I'm wearing a store tag and folding clothes nearby. Instant beeline towards me. They basically tell me they need a heavy overcoat for a relative and that I need to get in the back since we don't have their size in the front, but I see entitled Kid. Skipping this dialogue as I have a feeling this is going to be a little long. When I return, entitled Mother is digging through a pile of dress pants with one hand while clutching her drink in the other. I cough lightly to sort of let her know I was back with her coat, but she spins around at Mach 1 velocity, hitting her drink on the overcoat and getting some of entitled Kid's arm in the hot coffee. Begin the foolery.
Why would you do that? You soaked my clothes. Do you know how expensive this is?
Mom, it burns so much. Make him fix it. Customer service mode activated. Ma'am, I'm so sorry. It was an accident. Fully knowing it wasn't my fault, expecting her to let it go. I can offer you this coat on a discount and compensation. I'm very sorry again.
You freaking burned my baby and ruined my clothes. I demand your name and for you to pay for clothes.
I'm starting to get ticked off at how loud she's yelling. Ma'am, again, I am sorry, but there's nothing I could have done. You were the one who spun into me. I can offer you a discount, but that's it. Otherwise, I will have to ask you to leave. I want his watch, Mom. There was no freaking way he was getting my watch. He hurt me.
Yes, give my son your watch now and we won't get you fired.
Now for some context. This watch was a graduation gift for my family that I've worn almost daily since I received it. And it is a fairly expensive watch that I would fight tooth and nail for since it holds plenty sentimental value. I proceed to tell entitled Mother and entitled Kid that they can't have my watch and this was my last offer for the discount. Entitled Mother gives the loudest groan known to man and begins leaving the store. Suddenly, this skid mark of a teen turns around and grabs my arm and tries to pry the watch off my wrist. I give the kid a hard shove with my other hand and manage to wrench my hand free and yell to them, "Get the puck out of the store!" First time I've ever sworn at a customer, but they refuse. At this point, my manager, luckily the one I was actually friends with outside of work, was already aware of and watching the situation, and he comes and tells me to go take out the garbage. This is 30 minutes before closing, so it's already dark, and he says he'll handle it. The place we take out the garbage is in this little alleyway behind all the retail stores that is clearly visible to the public and people walking by. But the place where we actually put the garbage is in a darkish corner that isn't very visible to the public. As I'm leaving the store to throw out the garbage, I see manager friend talking to entitled mother and entitled kid. And I decide to walk by them and whisper, "Punt," to entitled kid because I knew the manager wouldn't care. Now, I could visibly tell he became very livid after this, but I left them behind and went to dispose of the garbage. When I get to the compactor and begin loading it, I see entitled kid walking towards me and entitled mother standing at the edge of the alley. I guess they left shortly after I did and decided to follow me. Now, entitled kid and I were about the same height, but I could tell he wasn't very built due to the fact he was wearing a t-shirt and I could clearly see his arms. I knew he was going to try to instigate a fight or try to take my watch, thinking he was stronger than me. I've been training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 5 years, so I know how to fight and have become pretty lean in this time. But I stand by my moral of I will never start a fight. But I will defend myself at all costs. Anyways, he tells me, "You should just give me the watch, mother trucker," and punches me in the gut fairly hard. It takes me a second to recover, but I knew after that it was fair game. He tries to punch my face, but I swiftly lean to dodge it and freaking drive my fist through his jaw and pile my knee right into his face. And I made sure that he wouldn't try to continue fighting me anymore by getting a well-placed kick on the side of his knee joint. I might have gone a little too hard on this kid, but I was exhausted and wanted to teach him not to mess with people. Entitled mother, after seeing I put her kid to the ground, began running towards him and starts screaming at me, but I yell back in the most threatening voice to F off. She looks terrified, but keeps yelling to me that I hurt her kid and I will pay for it, I'm going to hell, and that I don't deserve anything good in life. Just the classic entitled mother argument. I rush back to the store, tell my friend manager what happened, and hide out in the back room in case she shows up with security, but since she doesn't know my name and I know my manager won't rat me out, I'm not worried. I go home that night, feeling fulfilled and happy I shut down a spoiled brat and his buffoon of a mother. I hope you enjoyed my entitled mother and kid experience. And if Karen and her devil spawn end up reading this somehow, I hope you have a terrible freaking day. This story was an absolute treat because of how rare it is to find a story where the entitled people actually get their crap rocked. Now, our Redditor here chose the path of precise and swift justice. Now, I believe Sam from iCarly had the right idea when it came to Buttersock, okay? That would have been the preferred method of justice dealing, but this works too.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.